and have faith. However, I am not one to sit down and read the Bible. I have not done that. But I will tell you, my vision started here in this house. And when I say visions, I'm not asleep. I am awake. And my very first vision that I had here was in the bedroom, which is behind me. It is now a kitchen. And we moved out of that room. One of the spirits in the home was acting up that day, and I heard something in the corner. I had just laid down to take a nap in the afternoon. And I went to turn. And as I went to turn to look at what was in the corner, something told me not to. And I can't explain that, but my eyes were shut. And what happens during the visions is there is a white screen that forms in the darkness. And then there is a video or a movie that starts. And it's very difficult to stay into that vision. You have to not look away. If your eyes cannot move behind your lids because it disappears. But at that very first vision, I will tell you, and I will turn you around for a moment so you can see it. This was my very first vision. And when I tell you, it was loud. It was as if 100 angels were coming down in the sky, and it was just fierce. It wasn't that beautiful presence of an angel coming. It was more of a defending of some sort. And when it told me not to turn, I did not turn. And as I said, we live with spirits, and I'm not scared of spirit because I believe in the Holy Spirit. But at this moment, this vision that came to me made me freeze and stop. And this was my very first vision 2 years ago. I got up and I did paint it so that I wouldn't forget it. I didn't know what it meant at the moment. And little did I know that there was going to be many more visions to come. And the very second vision that I received was probably maybe 3 or 4 months after. And there was a lot going on in the world, and my heart was broken for the reason that people seem to forget humanity and just being loving to one another and caring to one another. And instead, there was a lot of judgment going on, and there was a lot of war and fighting going on in the world. And as I lay down at night, that night, I closed my eyes and I said my prayer, and I was very sad that night, and I was crying, and I apologized for the way the world was. And at that moment, the white screen came, and the vision of words just came like a picture screen, like a movie. And it said, "Don't fear it, embrace it." And it was this vision that I had received. And this was it. It was a white screen that just turned and said, "Don't fear the rapture, embrace it." And it was a voice inside my head. So I don't know much about the rapture, so I'll turn you around. I didn't know much about what the rapture was and what the meaning was. Like I said, going to church was not a thing that I do. And reading the Bible, no, I haven't done that until recently after all of these visions. And you'd be amazed. I believe that the Lord is reaching out to a lot of us. I believe there's millions of us that have these visions, and we don't know what to do with them. Whether the reason is because we question ourselves, are we good enough to receive a vision? Or why me? Why not someone like my husband who goes to church faithfully? And I just didn't know why me. So this one, I got up and I talked to my husband about it, and still wondered in the back of my head, why me? Why this vision? But it was basically, what I took from it was, one, I need to find out what the rapture was, because I didn't know what that was. And the second one was, it was because I felt I was apologizing to him for all of us. And I think this might be what is to come. I'm not sure. So this one, I kind of let go and I did nothing about it, and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do with it. And I would pray at night and ask, what do I do with it? And no, I didn't get an answer. But probably about 3 months went by, and again, it's always during prayer at night, and I was laying down and I said my prayer, and I'm awake at this point, and I closed my eyes, and a screen came up again, the white screen, and when I see it, I don't want to let go of it, and I didn't know what was going to come. And on this one, I'll turn you around, this one, I didn't understand this one. It was a beautiful area. It was more of like a mountainous area. There was brown rock. There was palm trees. And I was standing right here, as if you could see. I wasn't able to be, I wasn't part of it. It was like I was just to see it. And these people started to come down this pathway here. And I can't explain it, but first it started with these young tribal like people, and they were all heading to this one area. And after these came hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and they came and they were just ordinary people like you and me, and it was as if they were flying to go, but nobody crashed into each other. I can't explain it to you. And it was like the fierce moving of them, and they continued on that same night. After they walked through this path, they ended up here, and I apologize, it's upside down, it's hard to see. Now these are hundreds of thousands of people that stood side by side next to each other. And I was standing back here on the rock. I was not allowed to see what they were looking at. But the feeling, I can't explain the feeling. It was beautiful. It was unity, but the sky was red. And they were all there. And after not knowing what I'm seeing, referencing the Bible, to be honest, it's as if it's the end of time. And it's as if everyone was there to join together. And people talk about the 10 tribes. And everyone's looking for these 10 tribes that left Israel. But what I think they're missing is this is a reference. The tribe is a reference from Israel. It's everyone. It's in everyone. All of us across the world has a bit of tribal in them from back then. We all are God's people. So that's all the hundreds and thousands of people that came there that day. So again, I was confused. I didn't understand what I was supposed to do with it. And probably about 3 months later, and by the way, when you talk about this, people think you're crazy, you know. Either they think you're crazy or they thought what I think. Well, why you? You know, why would God send that vision to you? Well, I don't know. I'm one person, but one person can spread it to one other person. So if I get one other person who has visions to spread their visions, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The next vision that happened was about 3 months after. And again, you know, I was in prayer that night. And as I lay in bed, I say my prayer. And all of a sudden, I knew it was coming. It was the black, and it turned into the white screen. And when I went into the white screen, this one I was confused by. So when I was in the white screen, again, I am not part of it. I'm here, and I'm not allowed to see what is down the tunnel and look into the light. But the confusion was there was men in suits, and I don't know what this means. But they weren't going towards the light. They didn't want to be part of the light. They were running from the light. And I still don't understand this one. Maybe I'm not meant to. Maybe someone on here who is watching will understand this one. But I got up and I drew it. And I believe that our Savior and the Messiah is here. And I'm not sure who these heads of state may be, people that I definitely wouldn't trust them from the feelings that I got from these people. They did not want any part of this. So this was one of the visions. And again, after I get these visions, I keep questioning God, what do I do with them? What do you want me to do with them? And it's been 2 years with these visions. And I'll tell you why I'm finally doing it after the last vision. So again, a couple of months passed by, and during prayer, there was something going on in the world that I was probably apologizing to God for and begging for our forgiveness for not being the people that he wanted us to be and the humanity. So as I said my prayer, this was my next vision, and the blackness turned to a white screen. And I was here, there was a mountain here, and I was standing over here, and I'm not again allowed to see into the light. This is the clouds off of the side of the mountain, and the sky was rough, it was gray, it was dark, and it opened up. And when I say it opened up, it literally opened up into a tunnel, and the lighting that came through was absolutely glorious and amazing. And these are people, and that it opened up a highway for them to go into this light. It was beautiful. It was just stunning. And I didn't understand why, again, am I seeing these visions? And again, I'm not allowed to see what's in here. So I knew that it was where everybody wanted to be. So I painted this vision, and I knew that sooner or later I would find out why. And again, being confused, why me? I kind of didn't do anything about it. It's like he kept saying, hey, you need to do something about this. You need to say something. You need to let people know. And I wrote a letter to the Pope. That's funny because my husband's Catholic, so I wrote a letter to the Pope. I never sent it. And my letter was, why me? Who am I? And the next vision happened probably, it was this year. My grandbaby was here. She's 4 years old. And we were getting ready to go to sleep inside in the other room, and I was pretending to go to sleep so she would go down. And we got up in the morning, and she said to me, Mimi, why do we have the same dream? And I said, we have the same dream? Well, that night when I was laying down in prayer, the screen opened up again, and it was darkness, and the white screen came, and this time it was amazing. It was beautiful. I saw this one, and this one is not completed. And I actually saw Jesus come down, and he raised the people up. But it was so peaceful and so beautiful. So I didn't get to paint the people yet, because what had happened was, my grandbaby got up and said, why do we have the same dream, Mimi? And I said, oh, we did? Well, that night I painted this late at night, and it was watercolor, so it didn't dry. And I had to leave it on the table, so I never finished it yet. And she walked in and she said, Mimi, that's the man of my dreams. And I said, really? And Jimmy, my husband, almost dropped the milk. And she said, Mimi, he's in my dream yesterday. And I said, oh. And I said, oh, okay, well, what's missing? Because I knew what I didn't paint. And she said, where's the people? And I was amazed by it. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get this out there and show these. But what happened was I still didn't know what to do with it. So couple of months went by. She was here this summer. A couple of months went by, and I closed my eyes and did my prayer, and there was the black turned to white again, and I knew it was a vision. And this one, they're mountains, and it was a road. It was a windy road, and you can see Jesus coming down on the mountainside, and I didn't know where this was. And I started doing a little research, and there's an area, and it's called the Gaza Strait, and very difficult area to cross, and it's identical, and I've never seen that before. So after this one, there was one other, and it's not completed yet. And this was recent. It's just a building. I don't know if you can see it. It's a building that I saw, and it is in a deserted area. And I need to paint this one. But what happened was, and why I'm doing this today, is because I was in the car taking my daughter to the airport a couple weeks ago, last week maybe. And as I was driving back, I was by myself, and it's a 45-minute drive. And I started talking to God, and I started talking to Jesus to ask him what he wanted me to do. What was I supposed to do to fulfill these visions? How was I supposed to get them out there? And literally out talking out loud in the car, waiting for an answer, of course. And, you know, they didn't get it. And the funny thing is, I always say that, you know, everyone has an angel or someone looking after you, and mine's Gabriel. And we were just talking about that when my daughter was here. And as I'm talking to God in the car and saying, how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do a Facebook? I don't know what to do. Or a TikTok. How do you want me to get this out there? Because apparently when you talk about God or you talk about Jesus, I get no replies back, or people don't want to hear about it, or they're embarrassed to talk about it, which I don't understand. But if I talk about the spirits in my house as a ghostly haunting, I get 500 people that want to know about it, 2,000 people during the season that want to come in and see these ghosts, but they don't want to talk about the Holy Spirit, which is confusing to me. So anyway, as I was asking God, can you give me a sign and tell me if you want me to do that? No joke. I'm driving down the 78, and they were putting a billboard up that said Jesus walks amongst us. And I was like, okay, that has got to be a sign. This is insane to me. And then on the way home, as I'm still talking to God, because that wasn't enough for me, right? It's never enough. You want absolute, you want him to tell you exactly what to do with it, and not as if that wasn't good enough. I'm still questioning and asking him for a sign. I stopped in the dollar store, and as I went into the dollar store, I started talking to this woman behind the counter. She looked sick and she was upset. And she was telling me that she has a tumor that had grown on her head, and that her daughter wasn't doing well. She's 3, and she has kidney failure in one, and the other one has a cyst growing on it. So at that point, I asked if she was religious, and she said, yeah. And I said, well, would you like to pray? I will pray for you and pray with you. And I asked her what her name was. She said Gabriel. So at that point, I knew that I needed to do something. And I don't know what's happening today in the world, where we're losing faith, we're losing Jesus, we're losing God. But he's out there, and he's giving visions to so many people, so many. And we're not doing anything with it. So I wanted to come on today and just share with you my visions and let you know that maybe we can change by just being better people and more loving people, and not being hypocrites and judging people, and stop doing all of those things and just be a better person. And if you do have visions, whether you're dreaming or they're just out of the ordinary, or you feel as if you need to get them across, don't second guess it. Get them out there. Let others know that Jesus is there. God is here. And he's asking us to just be better people. I don't think in the end we'll have time to do that. So thank you for listening. And if you can share these visions out there, I would appreciate it. And I know that there are so many others that would appreciate it, so they can get the courage up to do this the same way I did. And I bless you, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas.